Also, we're tracking this morning. President Trump just slapped a 10% tariff on countries not supporting a U.S. plan to control Greenland. Starting February 1st, the president says that tariff will continue until a deal is reached on the purchase of Greenland. He's also saying that tariffs on Greenland will increase to 25% starting on June 1st. For more on all of this, let's bring in now U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz. Mike, good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to be with you, Aisha, and congratulations on the show.
Thank you, Ambassador. I want to start with Greenland and the UN. At least their experts came out with a kind of a condemnation of the U.S.'s rhetoric on Greenland. I'm going to read it to you. They write, assertions suggesting that a territory can be taken, controlled, or owned by another state in pursuit of perceived national security or economic interests evoke a logic of colonial domination that the international community has long rejected. Look, we've heard a lot of concerns from the left that this is going to push our allies away. At the worst, it's going to blow up NATO. You've been to Greenland. You were just there last year with the vice president. What did you see in here?
Well, first, this is why President Trump has defunded the so-called Human Rights Council, from where these so-called experts come from. Look, at the end of the day, the president is doing whatever it takes for our national security in our hemisphere, whether you want to call it the Monroe Doctrine or the Monroe Doctrine 2.0, from the Arctic to the border to the Panama Canal to our key interests in Central and South America. And in this case, he's trying to make a deal. And this is no secret that he sees it critical to our national security. Look, Aisha, Denmark subsidizes Greenland to the tune of over $500 million a year when their defense budget is only about $5 billion per year. That breaks down to about $12,000 per head for the 53,000 Greenlanders. I promise you, their lives will be safer, stronger, and more prosperous under the umbrella of the United States. And furthermore, if you look at Denmark's defense expenditures, they have 0 heavy icebreakers. They really have no Navy in the Western Hemisphere to speak of, and they certainly aren't contributing in a meaningful way to the Golden Dome, space, or other types of missile defense we have to have. Meanwhile, look at Russia with over 60 icebreakers, some nuclear. The Chinese are building more. They're pushing up into the natural resources that are up there, that are increasingly exposed in the polar regions. We have to secure the United States. The Greenlanders will be better for it, and our alliance will be better for it.
I mean, that's kind of the point the president is making, right? When you hear the pushback about there's no threat today, nobody's bothering Greenland today. Well, this is not about today, right? This is about what might happen in the next coming years. That's what national security is about.
That's right. It's looking forward in the future threats that we do see rising, both from all of our adversaries, but also it's about looking back. This area, this region was completely ignored by both NATO and Denmark, who is a great ally otherwise, but just doesn't have the resources or the capacity to do what needs to be done in the northern region. And to the to the Democrats who say, well, they're giving you full access. Look, everybody knows that if you are renting a place or a home, you treat it differently than if you own it.
Yeah.
And from a standpoint of international law, President Trump is trying to make a deal, as President Truman tried to do in the 40s, as we did with the Virgin Islands, which we purchased from Denmark for $25 million in the 20th century. So there's nothing wrong with that, and he's doing what needs to be done.
Another adversary that we're watching closely is Iran. You've been on top of this all week long. This is the president on Truth Social talking about sort of why he is holding back on strikes right now. He wrote, I greatly respect the fact that all scheduled hangings, which were to take place yesterday, over 800 of them have been canceled by the leadership of Iran. But then today, the Ayatollah is just on the attack, blaming the president for all of this. He says that the president sent a message to seditionists saying he would support them and provide military support. In other words, the U.S. president himself was involved in the sedition. These are criminal acts. I mean, we all know we can't trust the Ayatollah. How do we know that the Ayatollah won't just turn around and kill these protesters. A lot of my Iranian friends are asking, like, how can we trust what they're saying?
Well, we don't and we won't, Aisha, but the Ayatollah is once again showing his true colors. I had to sit through the UN Security Council and listen to their lies and their spin and their propaganda that somehow this was trumped up by the United States and Israel. No. The Iranian people have had enough. They have seen any revenue that is coming into the regime get spent on terrorism, get spent on missiles, get spent on this obsession with a nuclear weapon. Same mentality that we saw with Hamas, taking concrete to build tunnels rather than to build homes. And they're obsessed with exporting their revolution and their religious ideology. President Trump has taken bold, decisive action. And the regime, as we said in the UN Security Council, we put everyone on notice. The regime should listen. They should listen to Secretary Rubio, who says President Trump is a man of action, not of endless talk like we see at the United Nations. And all options are on the table.
It's fascinating watching these national security meetings now that you're in there and you're holding them to account. Iranian American Mahsi Alinejad, who you've met, was there speaking, and she was directly speaking to the Iranian representation in the room with her. And then she was also calling out the UN. By the way, this is a woman who has had Iranian people come to this country and try to kill her multiple times.
The same assassins that tried to kill her were also trying to kill President Trump, backed by Iranian operatives. Enough.
I want to play the soundbite because it is directed right at the UN, and she's basically calling them out for not holding Iran accountable. Watch.
Why are you afraid of the Islamic Republic? Millions of unarmed Iranians, innocent and unarmed protesters, have been silenced with bullets, mass arrest, prison, and a total communications blackout. A brutal slaughter has taken place in my beloved homeland, Iran, and it will get much worse if the world do not take serious action.
Is the UN ever going to hold this regime accountable?
Well, look, she was joined, Aisha, by a gentleman who was tortured for 9 years in an Iranian prison and fortunately escaped here to the United States. We are watching. The international community is watching. There's a long history of tribunals for those who commit crimes against humanity. Again, not just for the regime and the Ayatollah, but those under them that are massacring their own people. You're on notice. And this president is, again, not going to send strongly worded letters. He's going to take the action necessary to defend our interests, defend America's interests in the Middle East, which Iran has attacked over and over again, including right here on American soil, but also to do the right thing for these freedom-loving people who just want a better life.
Well, as Senator Tom Cotton said, maybe the Ayatollah just needs to get off his cell phone and not poke the bear, because we saw what happened with Maduro. Thank you very much for coming on the program,
He's
Ambassador.
messing around. He might find out. Thanks,
exactly.
Aisha.
Maybe no dance videos. Thank you, Ambassador, so much for joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.